Okay, good evening. I'd like to call the September meeting of Sandy Pines Board of Directors. Meeting is in session. We're going to switch things up a little tonight. We'll go through some changes, but as we go, the first one would be, would you please stand and join us with saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Brian is going to give us the invocation, please.
All right, shall we open in prayer? Dear Lord, as we gather this evening, we just want to pause and give you thanks. Thank you for your love, your grace, your mercy, and your hand upon us as a board, as a park. We just thank you for all the blessings that you've given to us. We pray that you'll bless our time together tonight, not only our time tonight, but also the time that was spent in preparation, discussion, and planning as things are being shared and discussed. I pray, too, that your favor will be upon each and every one of us, and help us, each one of us, to look to you for wisdom in all things and to be a servant of all the members that are so blessed to call Sandy Pines our happy place. And it is in your name that I pray. Amen.
Okay, good evening, and then we'll open up for member comments. If members have any comments they'd like to step up to the mic and share with us, you're more than welcome to do that now. Okay. Roll call, please.
Tess? Yep. All right, Ellen Carpenter? Here. Rick Day?
Here.
Brian Elling? Here. Jenny Hager is absent. Jim Huck? Here. Kelly Johnson? Here. Dennis King? Here. Chad Ostrom is absent. Paul Peppel?
Thank you. And we'll move on to item number 5 on the agenda then, and it's my pleasure to introduce your new park president, Jeff Schweitzer. Jeff is down here. We're fortunate to have Jeff on board with us. Thank you. Jeff comes to us with a long history of stellar business background, and we look forward to working with him in his new capacity, and gets to share some time with Gene for another month or so, and some of him can rub off on him, and he can chart your new course. So welcome, and we look forward to working with you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the election of officers. We ask everyone that was willing to serve in a capacity on the executive committee. Is there anybody else, board members, that would like to make a change other than the slate you see presented in front of you? Hearing none, I would make a motion that we cast a unanimous ballot for Rick Day as chairman, Ellen Carpenter as vice chairman, Jim Huck as secretary, and Jenny Hager as treasurer. Supported by Brian Elling. A roll call vote, please.
Jim Huck? Kelly Johnson? Dennis King? Paul Peppel? Ellen Carpenter? Rick Day?
Yes.
And Brian Elling? All approved.
Thank you. Congratulations, everyone. And also, something we're doing a little different is we're going to renew everybody's membership, each line. So I would make a motion that we nominate Jim Huck, Dennis King, and Chad Ostrom for the SORA committee for the next fiscal year. It's been supported by Kelly. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, the same. That motion carries. And then committee liaisons, we would accept a motion to approve Paul Peppel for the buildings and grounds, Ellen Carpenter for the golf, Brian Elling for technology, Dennis King for safety and security, Jenny Hager for finance, Kelly Johnson for rules, and Rick Day for policy. There's a motion. Is there support? Been moved and supported. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, the same. That motion carries. And then I know, don't get excited. You see the next one on there. We did have discussion that it's hard to believe that just because we're board members, we're not experts in everything like some people. But we want to put a committee together, as you see there, to start gathering information, see what the flavor, what the pulse is of the membership, to try to determine what you hear so much, indoor pool, outdoor pool, what level of financial support are we willing to give to make that a reality. So what we've done is we put this committee together, would like to tonight, to establish that committee to do a lot of that groundwork and research and come back with some real information that we can share with not only the board but the membership to determine if there is a desire to have more pools, what that would look like, and what financial backing or support that might take to make that a reality. So any discussion, or anybody else like to comment on that? Okay. So I would make a motion that we establish a pool committee of Jeff Schweitzer, Brian Elling, Alan Carpenter, Kelly Johnson, Jim Huck, and Josh Janowak. Is there support for that? Okay. It's been moved and supported. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, the same. And that motion carries. Okay, item number 7 is approval of minutes of the regular session of August 16th, 2019. Everybody has a copy of that in your agenda packet and has an opportunity to review that. Is there any additions or addendums or anything that needs to be changed in those minutes? Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion to approve as presented? Ellen, supported by Dennis. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, the same, and that motion carries. Okay, item number 8, we have the approval of new park members. We had a total of 33 new members. 22 are gainfully employed and 11 are retired. Any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, I will accept a motion to approve the new members as presented. It's been moved. Is there support? Been moved and supported. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye. Opposed, the same, and that motion carries. Okay, under executive personnel, comments from the chairman. I'd first like to say thank you. I look forward to the next year being the chair of the board. It's a great group of people. I look forward to working with them. We discussed some changes maybe coming up. One is that we talked about we're going to try to get the agenda out on the Tuesday after the planning meeting so everybody can review it so they know what we'll be discussing at the meeting. That way, those that choose to can have the opportunity to review it or discuss it or look into what we're actually going to be talking about. And then the other item that we wanted to change up a little bit is we always hear that, everybody, not everybody, but some members feel that, we discuss something at a Monday at a planning session, we vote on it that same Friday, and as members sometimes don't get that feedback or don't even know what we're talking about until you come to the meeting on Friday and then we're voting on something that you've really had no input on. So what we'd like to do is we're going to, as like tonight with the discussion about the closed work session, we'll have a discussion as a board in front of everybody. We'll discuss it. And then at our next scheduled meeting, then we'll actually vote on that. So that'll give everybody the opportunity to get feedback to the board, get comments out there, let us know what your feelings are, right, wrong, or otherwise. But at least that way we can make a more informed decision on what you guys are thinking or hearing that maybe we don't always hear or see. So we're just trying to get another avenue of communication to make a decision. And we feel that's really important when it comes to like rule changes. So a lot of times a rule change will come into effect or come in front of the board, we'll vote on it, and then after the fact, after we voted on it, everybody goes, oh, we got a rule change, but now, you know, there's a lot of conversation and discussion, but it's after we've already voted on it. This way, unless it's an emergency nature, we'll talk about it at whatever meeting we're at. When it's brought up, if it's a rule change, we'll discuss it as a board in an open meeting like this. Everybody will hear it, everybody will have input, everybody will be able to give us some feedback, good, bad, or indifferent, and then we'll be able to make a final reading or final decision at another meeting a month later. So we're going to try that avenue and see if, you know, if that helps open those lines of communication. And again, just try to get some feedback. You know, it's not always positive, but if it's constructive, that's what is important. It's not whether I agree with it or disagree with it. It's that everybody had an opportunity to weigh in on it, and then we can go forward and hopefully, you know, nip a little bit of the negativity in the bud that some people feel that they don't have a voice in the process. So we'll see how it works. You know, that it's nothing that we do is etched in stone, but that's where we're going to start. So I look forward to making a few of those changes, and we'll see how it goes. And on another note, this is our last chance to formally in a meeting say thank you to Gene. He'll be around for a while yet, as I indicated, but I know I speak for the entire board, previous boards, and most definitely the staff, that we thank you for your dedication and your service for the last 7 years. We can attest personally that it's not always easy, but you've always done what you felt was in the best interest of the organization and the membership as a whole, and not individual people or personalities. So again, we thank you for all you've done, Gene, and look forward to, you know, your happiness in your retirement, which I know is not going to be sitting in a lazy boy somewhere, but, you know. And not to make this winded, but I also would like to welcome Paul. This is his first meeting, and we look forward to working with him. He's already shown that he's ready to jump right in and give lots of ideas and be a team player, and we appreciate that. So we look forward to that. Thank you. Okay, I've said enough, so now comments from the park president. Gene.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you, board. Just mainly, I'm going to keep it real short. So, but I want to say congratulations to the those who got elected to the executive committee. You have a daunting task at times, and but I see a good brain trust on that committee at this point, and I'm sure that you're going to work well with the rest of the board and with Jeff. So I congratulate you on your elections to those positions and wish you well with it. I want to thank the board also for their support in this past year that this board has been together, and past boards as well. And I want to thank the staff, and I want to thank the members for the supportive words and thoughts that you've expressed. You got me last week Wednesday. This past Wednesday with a surprise retirement. I hate using the word retirement, by the way. I'm leaving my tenure here. That's what I'd prefer to hear. But retirement seems to be the most common word. So, but I hope, as Rick said, I hope to be doing something else in the future. But we're going to take a break. I'm going to give Joyce some time back that I had to take away from her. So I'm looking forward to doing that, and we're looking forward to what God's got for us in the future. So with that said, I believe that the park is in good shape, great shape, financially, with human resources, our staff. We have a great staff, and our hard assets are our capital assets. The buildings and structures are in nice shape and getting in better shape thanks to the capital reserve that was passed a while back. So Jeff is fortunate to get passed on the park in the condition that it's in, and I think he'll bring it to much better places than we could ever imagine. Our transition is going very well. Jeff is intuitive. He's asking a lot of the right questions. For someone who didn't know Sandy Pines, he knows business. He knows communication, and he certainly has a good grasp on negotiating. So we have to chuckle once in a while because he uses different terminology than us old country boys do. So he's been calling the staff and asking for one-on-ones, and they're looking at him like, what the heck is that? What did I do wrong? I said, Jeff, you just have to say, hey, I'm coming over for a cup of coffee. We're going to talk. So he's got to work on it a little bit. Either it's going to go his way or it's going to go the staff's way. But they're getting along very well, and it's been a pleasure to hand off to him. And I'm looking forward to coming back here and exchanging notes with you guys to see how you're doing in a year from now. So thank you all very much.
Thanks again, Gene. Now the next item is some comments from our new park president, Jeff Schweitzer.
Thanks, Rick. And Gene actually made an excellent point. As I've gone through the first couple of weeks here, sitting down and meeting the staff, meeting the board, and working with the transition with Gene here, the park is in excellent shape. And that could only be done by having an aligned board of directors and a park president. So Gene and the board have done an excellent job. With that being said, I've got a list of stuff that still needs to be done, and the goal is to continue the good work and the good progress that this board and Gene has put in place. Myself and my wife Amy have been welcomed warmly by the members and the board and Gene and Joyce, and we thank you for that, and just blessed to have this opportunity, and looking forward to working with everyone to continue the vision that is Sandy Pines. So thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, now we'll move on to item number 9 on the agenda, finance. We have the 2019 July financial statements for Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails, and Kimberly will make some comments on that.
All right. Regarding the review of the financial statements, the Finance Committee did meet September 12th, last week Thursday. We did have a quorum, so they were thoroughly reviewed along with all the check distributions for both Sandy Pines and Lake Monterey. I'll go over first, before the approval of Sandy Pines, the Sandy Pines notes. Our current cash in review of July 2018 to July 2019, our cash reserves is $800,000 higher than prior year. That's as of July. We do have another big month of expenses coming forward with August, but that still puts us in a good position. Our total net income for the organization was up $271,000 from last year. Specific notes for our maintenance department: our repair and maintenance to the roads did incur $47,000 of repairs within the park. However, overall, maintenance is still within budget. Our repair and maintenance to the structural costs incurred was $24,000 in repairs. Again, however, the department is still within budget. Public safety is $8,000 higher in total income as of July year-to-date, but is maintaining their expenses through their operations, and total net loss for public safety is approximately $8,000 lower than prior year. Our recreation department, July is one of our biggest months for that department, and recreation expenses were higher than prior year with the offset of increased wages that we put through in the new year and additional social activity expenses that we had. However, the recreation department is still within budget. Resort services, there's nothing specific to note for the resort in July that hasn't been shared in the prior months. For our lease operations, the income from our food truck programs continues to be a small revenue stream and seems to be very well received within the park. Park and garden income is up 41,000, with cost of goods sold up 22,000 and a net profit of 13,000. Golf rentals income was up 5,000. Operating expenses was down 17,000 with a net profit increase of 22,000. There's nothing specific to share for our retail department in July that wasn't shared in prior months. And our sales and hospitality, our net income is up 131 as of July year to date.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve those financial statement as presented? It's been moved and supported. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries. And next item is approval of the July 2019 financial statement for Lake Monterey Golf Course, and Kimberly will give us an update as well on that.
I only have a couple notes for the golf course. There wasn't much significant to note, but I do want to mention that our cash reserves was up about 55,000 and total net income was up 17,000. Lake Monterey will be paying another distribution of 75,000 on the notes payable to Sandy Pines, which was the same amount that was paid last year. So that will completely relieve one of those notes payables on the balance sheet of Lake Monterey.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve as presented? Brian, seconded by Dennis. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, the same, and that motion carries. Okay, the third item under finance is review and approve resolution 092019B, and there'll be a few of those tonight dealing with changing signatures on stuff. So this resolution is to authorize certain officials of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated to sign checks, certificates of deposits, and other evidence of investments, and to authorize at least 2 signatures on certain banking documents. Whereas the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated believes it is necessary to authorize certain officials to sign checks, certificates of deposits, and other evidence of investments, and whereas the Board of Directors also believes it is necessary to have at least 2 officials sign these documents, now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby authorize the following named individuals to sign checks, certificates of deposits, and other evidence of investments or transactions for Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated, effective September 20th, 2019. Jeff Schweitzer, Park President, and Kimberly Williams, Chief Financial Officer. Is there a motion to approve that as I just read? It's been moved and supported. Roll call vote, please.
Kelly Johnson? Yes. Dennis King? Yes. Paul Pepple? Yes. Ellen Carpenter? Yes. Rick Day?
Yes.
Brian Elling? Yes. Jim Huck? Yes. All approved.
Thank you. Item number 10 is old business. This is affirm e-vote of resolution 092019, property purchase. And I will read that as well. Resolution 092019, resolution to approve property purchase, September 20, 2019. Proposal to approve a budgeted reclassification, whereas the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines RV Resort proposes that the recommendation to appropriate by transfer $250,000 from the operational reserve to the capital fund account for the purchase of the property located at 2769 136th Avenue, Hopkins, Michigan, 49328. Negotiated and contracted by Gene Vancouvering, Park President of Sandy Pines, under the direction of the Board of Directors. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines RV Resort does hereby approve the above resolution in compliance with Article 4, Section 1 of our bylaws. Board Member King, motion seconded by Board Member Johnson to approve the above resolution, which will take effect on August 29th, 2019. And we will take a roll call vote to affirm that. I just want to add to that so everybody knows that is a adjacent piece of property next to the cell tower. There's several outbuildings. A couple are dilapidated, but one is the barn. The building is in fair shape. The structure and the property, it butts up to Sandy Pines' property on two sides, and then next to the storage units, there you go, thank you, on the other side. And this was actually a month ago, as this day, September 20th. Sandy Pines was approached about the acquisition of that property, and the board, at that time, that board felt that it was appropriate to purchase that property, one, because they had the opportunity, and it was better for us to control that property. There's no specific use, but it will be looked at going forward on how we can best utilize that to the benefit of the membership in the park. So that's what that resolution is. In accordance with our bylaws, it does say that the board has the authority to do that, but they have to address the membership and explain what they did at the next scheduled meeting. So that is what we are doing here, and to reaffirm this so everybody knows that that is what took place. And it's, you'll hear me say several times probably, it's not secret squirrel, but that was in accordance with the bylaws, had the ability to do it, and then we had to notify the membership at the next board meeting, which is what we are doing now. It's approximately 5 acres, isn't it? 3, I'm sorry. Yeah, originally, yep. Oh, yeah, it was in the 250,000. Okay. Roll call, please. We can, yeah, take a motion to reaffirm this. Jim Huck moved that we, is there a second? Dennis King. Now you can take the roll call. Sorry about that.
Sorry, it was on. Ellen Carpenter. Rick Day.
Yes.
Brian Elling. Jim Huck. Kelly Johnson. Dennis King. And Paul Peppel. All approved.
Thank you. Item number 11 is new business. So we're going to renew and approve a few more resolutions that, as I spoke to earlier, that are really changing, taking Gene's name off certain documentation and authorizing Jeff's name to be put on there. So we will go through those. Review and approve Resolution 092019C, change resident agent for Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails. Whereas the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated hereby authorizes a change in resident agent to be filed with the state of Michigan, naming Jeffrey Schweitzer, the park president, the resident agent, effective September 20, 2019. Is there a motion for that? Been moved and supported. All in favor? Well, let's do a roll call vote.
Jim Huck. Kelly Johnson. Dennis King. Paul Peppel. Ellen Carpenter. Rick Day.
Yes.
Brian Elling. All approved.
Thank you. Okay, and then the next item is similar. It's the same thing. It's a resolution 092019D, and this is change resident agent for Lake Monterey Golf Course. And I'll read that. Whereas the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated, sole member, manager of Lake Monterey Golf Course LLC, hereby authorizes a change in resident agent to be filed with the state of Michigan, naming Jeffrey Schweitzer, park president, the resident agent, effective September 20, 2019. Is there a motion to approve that resolution? Kelly Johnson and Paul Peppel. A roll call vote, please.
Brian Elling. Yes. Jim Huck. Yes. Kelly Johnson. Yes. Dennis King. Yes. Paul Peppel. Yes. Ellen Carpenter. Yes. Rick Day.
Yes.
All approved.
Thank you. Okay, and last but not least is Resolution 092019, and this again is similar, authorizing the signature for the 401K. This is a consent action of the Board of Directors resolution to adopt the Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated profit sharing and 401K plan. The plan as follows. Whereas the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated has taken the following actions with respect to the amendment of the Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated profit sharing and 401K plan. The following resolutions are hereby adopted. Be it further resolved that the company is continuing the qualified status of the plan with Bankers Trust Wealth Management Group, Retirement Plan Services Bankers Trust Company. Be it further resolved that Bankers Trust Wealth Management Group, Retirement Plan Services Bankers Trust Company be designed as the trust, and Jeffrey Schweitzer, President, Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated, and Kimberly Williams, CFO, Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated, be and are hereby designated as plan administrators. Be it further resolved, the effective date of this is September 20, 2019. The company hereby indemnifies Jeffrey Schweitzer and Kimberly Williams for any future plan activity commencing September 20, 2019. Is there a motion to approve that resolution? Jim and Alan, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Dennis King? Paul Pepple? Ellen Carpenter? Rick Day?
Yes.
Brian Elling? Jim Huck? Kelly Johnson? 7-0 approved.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is a discussion of closing the work session, planning session to members. This was brought up at a planning session. Just a little history. It previously was always a closed meeting, which means it was just the board of directors and the administration. 2 years ago, actually this month in September, that board at that time voted to open it up to the membership to be able to come and listen, not participate, but listen to what's going on in the planning session. So it's been brought up by some members that they feel that sometimes it's stymied, that people don't say what they freely want to discuss because of the rumor mill, and things get misstrued on public media and social media and everything else, and they don't feel that they can, comment on something, or, just say, what if we talked about charging so much for something, is there any discussion or even, appetite to further discussion before you're out of the meeting? It's already all over Facebook and everywhere else, and people, I know it's hard to believe, but they put their own spin on it, and, and it's not always accurately portrayed, and it sometimes is taken out of context. And the reality is that in the 2 years that we've had them, we've had probably, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe 2 or 3 visitors that come to it. So this was, again, part of our new process, if you will, new and improved and user-friendly. We're going to discuss it as a board and get some feedback, and I'm sure we'll get some feedback after, and then in the next 30 days. And just so you know, I mean, we don't derive all of our information off Facebook. That's not how you contact the board of directors. You can contact the administration office. We have a board of director email that goes directly to every member, so everybody sees the same thing, and then we will respond accordingly to those comments. But that's what this really is. It was just, it was brought up as a, is there really an appetite? Does it benefit the organization to have them open or closed? And again, just a little history. We did have a legal opinion back then from our Sandy Pines attorney, and he drafted a letter and sent it to everybody that was on the board at that time in the administration, and said that it is absolutely in accordance with the bylaws and it is legal. We're not a municipality, as many people try to equate to. We're not a city, we're not a unit of government. There is no requirement to have a work session, and the key with that is as long as no decisions are made. As long as the final decision or anything, you can have open discussion and dialogue at those meetings, but there's no finality of anything until you actually have an open board meeting, and then that's what's required to be open per our bylaws. So that's just a little history on what we were talking about, and then I'll open it up to my fellow board members to comment or chime in. and then we'll go from there.
This on? I was fortunate enough to be at a meeting, well, actually now two, because nobody came to our last meeting. And the difference is there is, when you have it's not a meet, we keep calling it a meeting, and it's really not, it's a work session. And it's where we review what's coming up on the agenda. And there's been a loss of free-flowing ideas, because nobody wants to be Facebook famous. People hold back on bringing items up for discussion, because I might bring something up about, well, maybe we should be charging more for this or that. And through discussion, it's decided that's probably not a good idea. I guarantee you, I would be on Facebook stating that everybody's saying, Jim Huck is trying to make us all pay for this now. Jim Huck doesn't need that. And neither does anybody else on the board. So what it does is it stifles free-flowing conversation, and it, even your municipalities, I know 4 of them personally that have closed work sessions and then open board meetings. And it's so that they can have a free flow of exchange of ideas before they walk into a meeting. But the decision isn't made till the vote is in front of the public. So kind of letting you know where that's coming from, and the reasoning behind it. And I have seen that even at our last meeting, nobody was there, and the recorder didn't work, and it was a much more relaxed atmosphere. And I think that's basically all the board's asking for, is the ability to have what they used to have, is a relaxed atmosphere to discuss things in, and not worry about somebody running out and misinterpreting it on Facebook. And not that hardly ever happens, and I'm sure it's usually an accident. You know, sometimes people just mishear things, but that's where that's coming from. But we did want to give everybody the chance to know that we're thinking about doing this again, and wait and vote on it at our next meeting after we get whatever feedback may come.
Thank you, Jim. Kelly?
Yeah, I think the other thing we wanted to point out, and first I think Larry Munger is probably, he's only missed 2 of our sessions. He's been really good at coming to them. But the thing that we all wanted to stress is that other than Larry and a couple others, there really hasn't been anybody coming to the planning sessions. We are able to talk a little bit, but we wanted, if we were going to look at that, we wanted to be a way for us to communicate more. We're always looking for better ways that we can open the communication up so that we can share everything we're doing. And actually, Rick had the idea. Again, I'm going to go over it because he's only said it once, is we're going to do the best we can to bring subjects that we're discussing to the table at our regular meetings. We'll still talk about it planning sessions, but bring them to our regular meetings, board meetings, so that the members who are attending here have an opportunity to hear what we're planning on doing or what we'd like to do, but also the members who watch our communications on the TV. So we're trying to push all that communication out and open the channels for you to respond back to us through the board, our emails, so that we can have additional information to weigh on what we're trying to make our decision. So the thought of closing the meetings, again, is a better tool, I'll say it for me, it's a better tool for me. I've never sat on a planning session where it's been open, because I am worried about, I like to brainstorm. I throw stupid things out there, because you never know when that stupid thing is going to be a good idea. Right, Brian? But I don't feel comfortable doing that. I really don't feel. And I think by closing that, it allows us to truly grasp that idea of throwing ideas out there and looking for the betterment. And I think this is going to be a great tool. We're going to try it. We'd like to try it. We hope you're all in agreement with us. And if you don't feel that the communications that we plan on showing is working, we want to hear that too, because that's what our goal was this whole year, was to increase communications to the member and give them an opportunity to voice concerns and either support or give us other ideas. But thank you.
Ellen?
We really, we're looking for an opportunity, like Kelly said, to brainstorm. The purpose of that meeting on Mondays should be to set the agenda and brainstorm a little bit and maybe look at some things that shouldn't go forward. But we made a commitment to get that agenda out so that you can see it in advance. That's something that's been brought up for a couple years. We don't know what you're going to talk about. We want you to know what we're going to talk about. Rule changes and other important things will be discussed. You'll have an opportunity to give us feedback via the email before we vote on it. And I think that's very important. It's not good, it's not a secret. We're not going to come in and say, we looked at this on Monday, yes, yes, yes. We're going to explain it, talk about it, then come back and vote on it. And be sure that you use the Board of Directors at sandypines.com email address that goes to all of us. You can also include Jeff. You can find his email address, on the website, and make sure that's how you communicate. Then we all see the same thing, we all hear the same thing, and you will get a response.
Thank you, Ellen. Anybody else have any comments?
One of the other changes you probably got caught by surprise with is member comments have been moved up to the front, and that goes hand in hand with putting the agenda out ahead of time. You know what's on the agenda before you walk in the door, so you shouldn't be taken by surprise if you went on the website. And if you have comments on things or thoughts, we know we're not going to answer questions just like we didn't before, but at least we know what you're thinking, or if it gives us something to think about or take pause with, we know about it before it's time to vote on something.
Thank you, Jim. Any other comments? Okay, like I said, this is for discussion, so people know, what the intent is, what was brought up, and where we go from there. We will not take any action tonight. Like you said, we're implementing our new format, and we will vote at our next regularly scheduled meeting. Thank you, everybody, for that. Okay, board member comments. Anybody want to make any comments on any items that, anything that we did not discuss on the consent agenda, or any other comments or concerns? Any other comments from the audience? We're not going to get into a 3-hour debate, but does anybody have anything that they want to, there's a couple hands. Yes, sir.
Just an update on the building,
Update on the North Shore, but the FEMA building, I believe, is what he's asking, correct? Gene, can you give us an update on that?
The bidding process went as per the protocol for procurement rules by FEMA and by the Salem Township. And a contractor was chosen out of that. However, within the first 72 hours, we had a challenge to that we're working through right now. Basically, we're being asked to solidify the process, which was in pretty plain words that every bidder had a chance to read. But we have a meeting on the 26th next week, Thursday, at the Salem Township Board, which will be an open meeting. And the contractor that has filed a grievance will be there, and Salem Township and their attorney will be there to discuss it, and the board will make a decision, and we'll go from there. But the date, still the date that we're planning on starting is in November, at some point in November, with a completion date of December of next year. So not only did the bids come in with better prices than we anticipated, the timeline for construction was about 6 months shorter as well. So you'll see a lot go on by the end of next season. It'll probably be only the finished work inside the building and some exterior stuff that has to be done, but that building will go up pretty quickly because it's a precast building, so once it starts going, it'll go pretty fast. If you have not seen the plans, and I apologize, I didn't bring a set along with me tonight, but I have them in my office. I have them in Jeff's office. So, knock on his door if he's not he's always going to be doing something. But just, he's got an open door policy like I did. And so stop in, and if you want to see the plan, if you haven't seen it, I had a couple of members in, 3 members in today for a meeting that had never seen it before. So I showed them the plans and the renderings, and they were duly impressed. It's going to be a great building that will stand here for 100 years, and it's going to be something you can be very proud of. So we're anxious to see it get open, and it'll be open by the 50th anniversary, way in advance of the 50th anniversary. So we're happy about that. So does that answer your question, Cal? All right.
Thank you, Gene. Larry?
Yeah, you're saying next week, are you saying the meeting in May or on the electronic meeting?
It could be the next meeting when we post the next meeting. We don't know for sure when that's going to be. We do have the means of doing it electronically now. That's one of the options. So all the membership will be informed way ahead of time of when that meeting will be in the format. We typically have started in the most recent past having the electronic meetings when we had the ability to approve financials and other stuff. There's not been a lot of other business that has taken place, but it's mainly been for the purpose of approving financials and moving that forward. So there was always a concern about when you get together in May after everybody's been sunning in Florida or Arizona or Texas, wherever you reside, in the winter, that they come back and there's month after month of financials to review that are already 6 months old. So that process was put in place mainly for that, but it is a meeting, but I can't speak as of right this second what it'll be, but everybody will be notified way in advance the format and the process of the next meeting. Yes, sir. This young man right here.
What is the pool committee supposed to determine? Are we still playing with an indoor pool?
I think they're playing with a lot of things. Yeah. So the whole intent of that committee is to gather information. One would be some type of survey of the members, not of everybody else, not their brothers and sisters and friends and everybody, but the members, to see what they truly are looking for. What is the appetite of the members? What do you want? Do you want an indoor pool? Do you want an outdoor pool?
Did we vote on this already?
We voted on lots of things in different formats, but
Voted down, and now we're going to vote it up, and now we're going to vote it down again. How many times do we have to vote on that before somebody gets the picture that it's been voted on?
well, that's a good question. The intent of this committee is not to vote up, down, up, down, up, down. It's to gather information and provide it to the membership and get feedback. There's been a lot of concern previously that it was tied to other things and it was never really addressed on what the needs or the wants of the membership were. So everybody will have an opportunity to have input. They're going to gather, there'll be surveys for members. They're going to gather information, and then they're going to bring it and pool all that information. They're going to get real cost estimates, hard numbers on what it's going to cost, what it's going to look like, when it can happen. And then it's, like everything, it's not what Rick Day wants, it's what the majority of the membership wants. So we're going to give everybody the opportunity to weigh in on it. You'll have more opportunities other than the one you just shared with us. And you can give us that great feedback, and we'll pool that information and provide it to everybody so everybody can see the same thing, and then we'll go from there. Anybody else? Yes?
Excuse me, is there a possibility of a bridge going between Phase 3 and the chapel area?
Again, there's been items discussed, a bridge, a tunnel for crossing safety concerns, and that's still all in the early stages. I don't know if your question was a possibility that we're looking at it. to provide a safe crossing there. I haven't seen anything definitive on what that's going to look like. None of the board has, but I know that, again, they're gathering information, and that stuff will be provided to the membership once we receive information. You know, we don't want to become the other half of the rumor mill where we talk, you know, we might. I mean, once we get information, it'll be shared with everybody, so everybody sees the same thing, and then we can start the process of voting it up and down, up and down, up and down. But until then, we want to make sure we all have the same information, and it is, you know, factual information, not just what you heard someone else say.
The planning committee, the future planning committee has been working on this for a long time, and there's a lot involved in this. That's why it's taking so long. It involves the 2 counties, a road commission, 2 townships and a road commission, I should say, and they're looking at which is more viable, what's more cost effective between a bridge and a tunnel, and so there's a lot going on with that, and that's why it hasn't been, nothing's been finalized yet. They're also waiting on now they're looking at some bids on what it would actually cost to do it. Everything has to be approved by the road commission and the townships because it's a right-of-way on the road. So they're with us on that, but as far as getting it done, then that comes to the county too.
Okay, one more. Yes, sir. I should have brought that up in the comments. We have discussed that as a very popular topic that you bring up. It depends on what side of the argument you're on, how important it is, that topic.
I'd like to see the rules flexible that people that have them that are not using them, that someone that would like to use one be able to use someone else.
Well, I think as a board, we're going to make a commitment that we're going to address the boat stake in general this year. We're going to try to put together a committee. Again, you know, we don't know everything. I know that's hard to believe, but we want to gather as much factual information as we can. We want to look at that whole program. And I think as a board, we've made a commitment to put that together and work with administration and staff and try to look at that whole program and see, you know, where it is. I mean, there's obviously heartache with it. It's one of the things that's probably most discussed in all formats, whether it be in the office or at this level or anywhere else, is boat stakes. I hear that all the time, you know, when am I going to get a boat stake? But so we're looking at that, the health of the lake. There was a study done. We're reviewing that. We're waiting for recommendations on, you know, the asset of the lake and how we can protect that and what we can do for future. And again, we try to make decisions not based on our personal preference or how it affects me today, but what's in the long-term best interest of everybody in Sandy Pines as a whole, not how it's going to directly affect me today and not worry about everybody else down the road. So thanks for bringing that up. I should have addressed that, and I forgot about it. Brian.
Thanks, Rick. Looking at all the committees and the topics about bridges and pools and states and stuff, I don't see long-range planning committee is on there. If there's still a long-range planning committee, and if there is, who's the chair of that committee? I mean, maybe people want to volunteer to get on that committee if they got a lot of concerns with availability stuff.
Yeah, I can check and see the availability. Kevin Hager is the chair of the committee, and it is still there. And you're right, we did. I don't think that's on there. What's that? Yeah, Jim's but you're correct there, and we'll address that. Thank you. Way in the back.
You just mentioned the lake study. When will that be shared with the membership as to what the results were and what's going to be done to?
As soon as it's shared with the board, we haven't even seen it yet. So as soon as we receive all that information, the administration has just received it, and some of our consultants, and they're working to review it and break it down and make the recommendations like you're saying, so it can be presented at the board level. So as soon as we get an opportunity to see it and review it, again, that's something that will absolutely be shared with everybody. It's, you know, that's our biggest asset, and we look forward to getting that information and seeing what we can do for the maintain the long-term life and integrity of the lake and the process and the fish and the wake, and there's all kinds of things that go along with that. So as soon as we see it, and I digest that, we digest that information, then we'll share it with everybody and get feedback.
In written form somewhere, or how?
Yeah, I will give you, yep, it's not, again, it's not secret squirrel. We're not going to put our own spin. It's not the Mueller report. We're not going to put our own spin on it, You'll see what we see, but you can't see it until I see it. So there's kind of a pecking order, and I haven't seen it yet, so thank you. Okay. Any other comments from the board? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. It's been moved and supported to adjourn the meeting. Everybody in favor signify by aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Thank you and have a wonderful weekend.